Kaya Girl, Chapter 6. As we headed back to the shop, I had more to worry about than Auntie Lida wringing the magic out of the unbelievable day. It was almost dark, and whatever I told her, it was going to be good. Faizar and I strategized while we removed our fine feathers in the deserted alley, shook them out, and folded them as neatly as we could. When I walked in, Auntie had the exact expression on her face that I had expected, but it softened much more quickly than usual. Clearly, she too was still on a high from the unbelievable day. That gave me some courage. Attack was the best form of defense, I told myself. So before she could utter a word, I exclaimed, "Oh, Auntie, you won't believe what happened." "What?" she asked, alarmed. I felt a pang of guilt, but I could not chicken out now. I saw Gifty watching me with a smirk and gave thanks that Auntie had a bag to her. "This customer came to the shop and selected some things," I began. Auntie nodded expectantly. Then, when it was time to pay, she looked in her bag and looked in her bag, I continued, drawing out the story to steady my nerves, but she couldn't find her purse. Auntie hissed through her teeth. They should better find their purses before they opened the door. She told me it must have dropped in the car, and she would give me the money if I came with her to the car. "And you did?" Auntie battered in sharply. She begged me, Auntie. I didn't know what to do, but I had an uncomfortable feeling about the whole thing. So although the things were not many, I took Faizar with me, just in case. Behind Auntie, Gifty was shaking her head slowly. I tried to blur her out of my vision. The woman said her car was far away. Because she had not been able to find a parking place, we walked and walked, sweating in the sun, till we had left the market behind. Then, when we were on the quiet street, she tried to grab the things without giving us any money. "I knew it," said Auntie Lydia. "She was just a thief, and you fell for it." "Auntie, please, I'm sorry," I said, hanging my head. Auntie shook her head in exasperation. She thought because you were children, she could take advantage of you. But Faizar didn't let her get away with it, I announced, perking up. She held onto the bowl, and the things fell on the ground. She raised alarm and the woman got scared and ran away. "So where are the things?" Auntie asked. I opened the door and beckoned Faizar in. She greeted Auntie timidly and lowered her bowl. "They got a little dusty, but we took them out and here they are," I said, scooping out the remnants of a magical day and placing them on the counter, where they turned back into impersonal bits of shop merchandise. If Auntie had not had such a good day herself, she might have been skeptical. But with the goods returned and everyone safely back, she had little motivation to make a fuss. A stern look from me in Gifty's direction, while Auntie inspected the goods, made her turn away and busy herself with packing up for the day, so that her face would be safe from Auntie's scrutiny. I would have to be nicer than ever to her now, a prospect I did not relish. The next morning, I was able to get away to have breakfast with Faizar and to savor our adventure. Gifty gave me a sour look when I got back into the shop. She did not know exactly what we had got up to the day before, but she knew we had had fun together and she resented it. One thing she was not smirking about though was that the TV was on the blink. Missing even one episode of a telenovela was a definition of a crisis in life. No wonder the machine had conked out. If Auntie could see the way she sometimes ignored customers or made them to shout above the love declaration of the smearing characters and the tenderest melodrama of the Ghanaian and Nigerian films, she would have disconnected the box herself. But now, she gave in to Gifty's nagging and called Mr. Blankston on the phone. "I'm so busy, Wafa." She peered into her cell phone, absently fingering the seam of her wave on. "I beg, can't you just send one of your boys to pick it up?" "What? One of your boys?" I sat bolted upright in front of the laptop where I was checking Auntie's mail for her. Calm down, I told myself. Mr. Blankson has several young men in his shop. It was more likely to be an apprentice in pungent overalls than Mr. Fresh and Spicy, but I could not stop my heart racing. I was both wrong and right because it was not an apprentice, but it was not him either. It was his brother Peter, Stephen. As he stepped into the shop, I wondered where Faizar was. I looked down hurriedly, pretending to be absorbed in the computer. I could not afford any revealing exclamation with Auntie around. She was busy adding something up on a calculator. Abena, help him take it off the stand, she called without looking up. I was much taller than Gifty, and the TV was pegged at a precarious angle overhead. She did not want any accident. I felt an impossible combination of dread and delight. Gifty was perturbed because she had been checking Stephen out from the moment he entered the shop. No one needed to tell me that he was shortly to be starring in her kissing fantasies. That would keep her going till the TV was back, I thought weirdly. She crowded around us, pretending to make herself useful. Heaven knew how. As we lifted the TV off the stand, Stephen gave a little gasp and the machine tipped in my direction. You, he said, as I heaved toward him. You are there. Shh, I interrupted. My auntie doesn't like me talking to boys. I get it, he said, steadying the machine. No worries. His smile reminded me of another. Gifty looked from him to me. Just one thing though, he whispered, leaning over the TV. Where's your friend? Gifty's face froze. Oh, her, she's around. Around? Yeah, not too far away actually. So, she comes to the market often? He asked. Sure, to do her shopping and stuff. Yeah, she looked like a classy lady. He grinned. What's her name? Gifty was not even trying to close her mouth now. Her name? Oh, it's Abna. Why are you people taking so long over that TV? Auntie called out. You are disturbing the customers. Hurry up. I gave Stephen a see what I mean look, and he responded with a sympathetic now wow look. We are done, Mommy. He picked up, wrapping the cord around the TV and walking out with it under his arm. Gifty tried to catch his eyes as he hesitated, but he did not notice her. Instead, he gave me a wink as I closed the door behind him. It was an unfinished business sort of wink. I did not look back at Gifty. Instead, I asked Auntie if I could pop out to buy a snack because I was getting hungry. I was out the door before she could respond. I had to see Faizar. She came up as soon as I stepped outside. Did you? I began. Oh yes, I saw him. She cut in. I studied her expression, but as always, she was so in command of herself that I could not guess what she was feeling. There was something about her quietness though. I was not sure what to ask next. She saved me the trouble. He walked right past me, both on the way in and on the way out. Didn't he see you? I grasped. Of course not, she replied. Oh, you mean he was looking the other way? I said with some relief. Oh no, he was looking at me all right. But you see, Abna, looking and seeing are two different things. Oh, I said, my face crumpling. I felt like crying, just thinking what that must have felt like for Faizar. It's okay, she said. You can't blame him. I could not believe her calmness and her maturity. I looked at her with new respect as she continued. How can you possibly expect him to make a connection between the princess he saw yesterday and some kaya standing around in the market? The princess? I thought, hearing an echo in my mind. We will never give you our princess. She is too good for you. I didn't know why I remembered this. It seems so inappropriate right now. And yet, at the same time, it was resonating in my mind. And he was asking of you, I said miserably, inside the shop. Was he? She asked eagerly, letting her guard down for a moment. So then, he recognized you. Yes, he did, I said. She did not seem bitter, and looking at her silent resignation, it suddenly fell into place for me how logical it was. Of course, he could recognize me, the educated, privileged girl who might have been back from a wedding or outdooring with her buddy yesterday and browsing the boutiques before going to her auntie's shop. But how could the gorgeous girl at my side possibly be an illiterate Kayayo from a village he could not have pronounced in a remote area he could never go? I felt all the glow of the day before and the morning after evaporate like dew in a merciless sun. He recognized me when we were taking down the TV. I said in a somber tone how different this was from how I imagined telling it to her, and yet what I had expected, I now asked myself. I tried to shush him so Auntie wouldn't hear, and I looked into her eyes with all the sorrow I was feeling. The one thing he wanted to know was where you were, and she smiled her Faizar smile. How could she? If I were her, I would be howling by now. It was not that I had not known it before, but at that moment, the enormity of the gulf between us struck me with dizzying force. Here she was, accepting what she could not have with grace, taking the little she could have and appreciating it, while I felt entitled to reprimand the world for not giving me everything I wanted, including now happiness for and on behalf of my friend. She took my hand as if I were the one in need of consoling. It's okay, Abna. Cheer up. I'm fine. Really, I am. Oh, Faizar, you're so brave, so strong, I said quietly. I envy you. You envy me? She said, and once again, I heard an echo of a past conversation between us. You never finished telling me your story, you know, I said reminiscently. That's true, she responded. My story in Asanes. Why don't I continue now? She asked, putting her arm around me with the look of a mother soothing her fretting baby. I nodded.